Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Spiritually Fit podcast. I hope you all have really been enjoying this rebrand. It is a new experience, let's say. And I know change can be hard for a lot of us, but trust me, let me lead you and you will love this new space that we're going into. You're gonna love it. I am recording from Midtown. If you're in the Rochester area, this is the gym that I work at. And your girl forgot her Yeti, her mic at home. So apologies for the sound if it's not normal, but my podcast editor, Jared, Podzilla Productions, he works wonders. I will put his info down below if y'all are looking for a podcast editor. So with this rebrand, here is what we're adding. And I've talked a little bit about it on the episode from a few weeks ago when I was working with the Morphe brushes. If you haven't listened to it, go listen to it, go watch it, go like it, go love it, go support it, all the good things. We are keeping Astrology After Dark with Danny, that witch next door. That is never going anywhere. I know you guys love it. That episode is always going to be dropping at the end of the month. So the last Thursday of every month, you can look forward to a new Astrology After Dark. If you all have celebrities that you want us to do, please email the spiritually fit podcast at gmail.com. We need ideas. We need people. We did it for a whole year last year. We're ready to come into 2025 hot. We're adding a new segment. It's the spiritually fit podcast. So where's the fit portion? This is why I'm introducing you to Miss Callie Vega. Hey, girl.
Hey,
How are
so happy to
you?
be here. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing so good. So, friends, I'm so excited to introduce you all to a new friend of ours. Okay. So, we met Miss Callie last year and it was immediate. Hey, I fuck with you. Hey, I fuck with you too. And we just like, we're here for it. And Kelly and I met during prep. We did summer shredding together. You competed in
I did. I
bikini.
competed in bikini, yes.
What'd you get? What
I got
placement?
second, and then I went back for the overall
Bitch.
championships and got second again.
Yes. Oh my God. So amazing. And again, if you guys didn't know what summer shredding is, or you don't know or you want to know, I have a YouTube video on that. We'll make sure that goes in the show notes as well. And hint, hint, wink, wink. There may be more content coming around that show sooner than you might think. So and Kelly is into the woo, but even more so into the fitness. And I thought that you would be a fantastic fit to do this monthly. So Kelly's also going to be joining the Spiritually Fit podcast, formerly known as the Goddess Complex, each month so we can talk about fitness topics. And if it leads us into woo conversation, cool. I want this to be something that's moldable and breathable, and whatever comes out, comes out. And I think the biggest goal here is to mash these worlds together that seemingly appear different, but they're not so different at all.
Love that.
Right. I mean, I don't know how you feel about this statement, but I feel like fitness is a spiritual experience.
Oh, it is so spiritual because in my opinion, it all starts with your mindset. And if you're not
Mm-hmm.
tuned in and you're not ready to go through, because it's an up and down journey, right? And through those up
Mm-hmm.
and downs, you're not always going to want to feel like it. You're not always going to want to get your gallon in or go to the gym. You have to be in
Mm-hmm.
tune with yourself spiritually, mentally, all of the things to understand and actually unleash your full potential.
It's so true. It's so true. Now, Kelly, what part of the world are you in, and what is your zodiac sign?
Okay, so I'm in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. I'm originally
Mm-hmm.
from Charleston, South Carolina, and I am a Cancer.
Do you know your rising and your moon by chance?
Okay, I think I'm a Libra moon, and I think I am a Sagittarius. I know I'm a Sagittarius rising.
That makes so much sense that we connected. And see, friends, people want to talk about astrology, but if you've been listening to the podcast for a while, you know what I'm going to say. She's an air moon sign. I have an air moon sign. She's a Cancer sun. I'm a Cancer rising. She's a Sagittarius rising, and I'm a Sagittarius sun. Those big three, and as we know, friends, because we study our astrology, the big three are the most important of the zodiac. This is peanut butter and jelly right here. Of course, we
Yes.
meshed immediately. Of course, we did.
Yeah,
Um,
I feel like I've known you for years. It's
for
strange.
years, right? So
Mm.
natural. So natural. Um, let's get into the bodybuilding of it all. So, okay, so many questions. What made you want to get into bodybuilding, and was summer shredding your first show?
Yeah, so summer shredding was my first show, and why I wanted to get into bodybuilding was because back in 2005, many moons ago, I was in a horrible, life-threatening, near-death experience car
Mm,
accident where I was ran off the road and I hit a tree going 60 miles per hour. I was in ICU. They didn't think I was going to make it. They had the priest next to my parents. Essentially, I had a laundry list of injuries, and through those injuries, after knowing that I was going to stabilize and be okay, they said I wasn't going to be able to be active again. And that was a for me a incredibly depressing feeling, knowing
yeah,
my whole childhood and every being in me like to be active, like to play sports, like to do these things, and to be told, hey, you're not going to walk normally and forget about running, and the sports that you like to play aren't going to be an option anymore was a really dark space for me. And it was something I
yeah,
had to learn how to overcome. But it lit a fire under me, and it's the best fire that's ever been lit because I went through, hell and back to figure out, okay, Callie, we're walking like a penguin for a while, which I did. I
yeah.
actually like really wobbled. I don't know if for all my people who are like 90s babies or late 80s, the Weeble Wobble. Do y'all remember the Weeble Wobble?
I remember the Weeble Wobble.
That was like my
Really
theme
do.
song. That's how I'd laugh at it. But
Yeah.
through all of that, I actually decided, how do I get back into competition? How do I get back into proving that I can do this? That, in fact, once again, talking about spiritually, mentally, how your mind works, that I might be putting these barriers, even though they've medically been diagnosed, I might be creating walls in my own mind. So,
Hmm.
how do I dive deep enough? And through that, I actually began to walk normal again. I began to go to the gym again. I began to do surf or skate or do the things that I liked to do that
Wow.
brought me joy. Um, and then I really got into like lifestyle fitness and training through,
Hmm.
you know, just intense gym routines, doing CrossFit, doing boxing, MMA, that stuff. And I actually fell in love with it. And from there, my coach at the time was like, "Have you ever thought about doing a bodybuilding show?" I was like, "No, I've always wanted to look like someone who does, but I
Right.
never actually decided if I was going to do it." And I decided, you know what? Screw it. Let's do it. Let's actually
Yeah.
see. And in my mind, this was like the pinnacle of the video game of this chapter of my life. Like, can I pass this test? Can I actually stand on stage, feel proud of myself, and think about all the things in the chapters, in the segments, in the sentences, even like the pauses of my life where I was so like depressed about where I was at, to like standing on stage and being proud of myself and showing that I can do this.
Hmm.
And whatever you put your mind to, you can achieve. And that was a really long-winded way of telling you how I got into my first bodybuilding show, but it comes from somewhere really deep.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, and we love long-winded on this podcast, so
Okay, cool.
we can be as long-winded as possible. So, okay, so 2005, you got into
Yeah.
the accident. You competed in 2024. So we're talking like almost 20 years of rehabilitation, of mindset switch, of getting into lifestyle fitness, and then stepping into prep,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Holy cannoli. So there's a few things I want to talk about here. First of all, lifestyle fitness. Our listeners, okay, you guys are like me. Okay, I see you. And it took me a second to understand the difference between when I would hear the fitness kids say lifestyle fitness and then like bodybuilding fitness, like I'm training for this versus lifestyle. I didn't know that was like a thing
Yeah.
until I started hearing people talk about it. So can you define this thing for the listeners that we're talking
Yeah.
about now?
Yeah, absolutely. So the way I look at it is like lifestyle is something that is sustainable throughout your life and implemented into daily
Hmm.
lifestyle things that you're doing, making good choices, being mindful, implementing like a certain split throughout every single week, getting your steps in, drinking enough water.
Hmm.
And with it, when it comes to bodybuilding and being in prep, it's like that, but 10 times more disciplined. Now it's not just like doing it and being mindful. And sometimes we might fall into like an 80% being on task, and 20% like letting yourself flourish and do, not be on track from time to time. But when you're on
Mm-hmm.
prep, it's like it's dialed in. Every single workout you miss,
Have
every single
to.
step you miss, every
Mm-hmm.
single calorie you overdo, it will show up on stage. And it's just an extreme sport. So you're going to be put through extreme measures to actually stand on stage and get your body to that type of conditioning. It's just the difference, in my opinion, is an extremity in between the level of commitment and treating it like you would treat your job.
Yeah, so true, so true. Oh man, I want to go in so many different places right now. So I think the first place I want to go to is loaded question. How has bodybuilding changed your life?
I think it changed my life because I very much so always, and I'm trying to think of the best way to articulate this. Like I have my whole life been redefining my walls and realizing I can break them down. And so I would be in a place of like, oh my gosh, like talking about my accident, like I'm walking normally. That's freaking awesome. How do I get to the next stage where like, oh my gosh, I'm
Hmm.
actually doing competitive sports again. That's freaking awesome. It just makes me realize more and more like my potential is untapped. It's up to me. I control my own destiny. Like I make my own decisions. And from there, if I have enough self integrity and like discipline and respect, nothing will stop me.
Right.
And when you
Yeah.
go through a prep, there are so many times where you're sitting there, and you know this, Ashley, like you're sitting there and you're like, I have zero energy. I'm depleted, but I have to go do X amount of minutes on the Stairmaster and finish this workout
Hmm.
and hit like exactly 100 grams of, chicken and rice and, you know, broccoli or
All
whatever it
of
may
that.
be. And I don't want to eat it again. So it
I'm
absolutely,
over it.
yes, you become so
Yeah.
over it, but you
Yeah.
realize like, I can do hard things. And when I do hard
It becomes
things,
bigger than you.
it becomes bigger than you. Magic happens and
Hmm.
your confidence flourishes.
Hmm.
It's changed my life so much. And I never thought it would to this degree because you think about it and you're like,
Me neither.
you think like, oh, it's aesthetic. No, yes, but
No.
no.
Exactly. Yeah, but no. I mean, bodybuilders are all about aesthetics, but bodybuilders have this like level, like built different. They're built different. It's this level of grit. What I know when I meet somebody who bodybuilds or who stepped on stage, I am meeting somebody that understands what hard work looks like. And they
Hmm.
value somebody who works their fucking ass off. And
Hmm.
not saying that you have to bodybuild to be that or to do that, but it's to say that prep is a different type of beast. And for those of you listening, prep is a period of time that you literally go into a space to prepare for whatever competition. So preps can range from 6 months to 6 weeks. It just depends on where your body's at, a whole bunch of other things. My prep was quite long. I started prep in March of 2024, and show day was in for the first one was in September. And then we stayed in prep for until October, but
Hmm.
we got it done. We got it done. Um, and it's in that period of prep where you really do have to be that dialed in. How many ounces of chicken breast are you eating? How many cups of rice are you eating? Did you hit your protein? Did you hit your step goal? You missed that workout. We need to account for it. Cardio, like there's so many things. Bodybuilders are biohackers, friends. Especially bodybuilding coaches, that's really they're glorified biohackers. They hack your body and figure out how to make your body do what you need it to do by adding things. They're scientists by adding
Yeah.
things and replacing, like that's really what they are. Prep reminded me a lot of my undergrad in biology because I just started learning so much more about the sport of bodybuilding and like really what it was, not this like, oh my God, her butt's better than her butt, but really what bodybuilding is at its core. And
Yeah.
it's biohacking, which I fucking love. I'm here for, like playing with these little things. Like guys, they'll play with stuff like, instead of having 100 carbs, let's bump it up to 125 for 3 weeks and see what happens. Like we're talking about micro adjustments like that.
Grains of rice.
Grains of rice can change the physique of somebody's body so much. And I just think that's super cool. And I think it's a testament to the human body and resilience. That's the word I was looking for. Bodybuilders have resilience. I
Yes.
don't know about you, but I love that quality. That's a quality I want to have.
Yeah, and that's something that spills over to, like, every area of your
Everything.
life. And that's
Mm-hmm.
another thing, like, to talk about, like, the benefits of it afterwards, like,
Mm-hmm.
there's so much that spills into every arena, like your work life, what if you own your own business,
Mm-hmm.
how you're
Mm-hmm.
handling that, how you're showing up for yourself,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Mm-hmm.
how you are in your relationships, friends,
Yeah.
interpersonal, family, whatever.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool because I think another thing it teaches you to do, which sometimes as women, especially, we forget, is to just take care of ourselves.
Hell
I think
yeah.
naturally we're such nurturers, like you almost forget and you sit yourself to the side. And when you do
Mm-hmm.
something like this, it is a true test of like challenging your mental of like, am I being too selfish? You know, and it's like, no, I actually, just like you wash your clothes so your clothes don't stink and you walk around stinky, like you are doing this
Right.
to do this for your body and make sure you're as healthy as you can be mentally, physically, spiritually, whatever that may be.
Mm-hmm. Oh goodness, I couldn't agree more. Again, so many places I want to go to. Let's talk about entrepreneurship for a second, because you and I both run our own businesses. And I agree with you. I feel like bodybuilding has definitely made me a better entrepreneur and a more confident entrepreneur. I think I just feel more confident in what I'm creating and how I'm creating and how I'm showing up, and also more confident in my time management. Like if I can find a way to sell something in between an hour of cardio and a 2 hour lift, plus my husband and daily things, that I can do
Yes,
anything. You know?
100%. Because the time is there, the time exists.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
Mm-hmm.
another thing, we condition ourselves to being like,
The
well,
time is
the time in
there.
which I do things is like this amount of time. But
Right.
what form of self-sabotage is happening there? What form are we
Mm-hmm.
like just being like, yeah, no, I'm actually gonna hit the alarm snooze button like, I don't know, 10 more times, where those 10
Yeah.
times could be actually you getting your first meal in for yourself so you're
Yeah.
properly fueled and having a great day. I mean, that's applicable for both lifestyle and bodybuilding.
It's so true. Have you heard of the Mel Robbins, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 technique?
Mm,
Oh my
no, but I
God.
love her.
Yeah, I've been talking about it um all week this week. So it's interesting that you brought that up. So if you guys don't know this, 10 out of 10 would recommend. So one of her techniques is, if there's something that like you're feeling resistance around doing, it could be anything from doing the dishes to going to get up and getting your cardio in, anything in between, or like drafting that email, whatever it is. You count to five, and then after five, you just do it. It's almost like, we negotiate with ourselves a lot. I know you're an Andy Frisella fan, so I
Yeah.
mean, he calls it the bitch voice. I like to use a different voice than that, a different word than that, but
There it's
um,
a voice for sure.
it's a voice, right? Of I'll do it later. I'll do it when I have time. I'll make it up tomorrow. You can 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, go, go.
Yes. And, there
Mm.
was something else around that that I also like, I think it's people are calling it technically activation energy,
Ooh,
to
tell us
where
more.
yes, which I know you'll like the energy,
Yeah.
but basically it's the same thing, like, you're essentially counting to 5, like, that's some type of action that stimulates the next step, but for example, the way they were talking about it was, okay, you need to go to the gym, you don't feel like going to the gym, but it's time. You made this promise to yourself, but the couch is feeling so right, right? But you
Mm-hmm.
go and you're like, okay, what's the next thing I can do instead of breaking this or turning this into a mountain? How can I turn this into one next step? So, okay, the activation energy would be to go and put your shoes on.
Ooh.
So instead of thinking about I need to go to the gym, just be like, what do I need to do to actually get to that space?
Yeah,
And it
yeah,
would be like,
yeah.
okay, I'm putting my shoes on. Once you tie your shoes, and as a gym girly, like once you
Yeah.
got the outfit on and the shoes on, you're like, no, we're doing this.
We're doing this. Like, I'm not wasting this beautiful fit. We're
Hmm.
doing this. One thing too that really helps me about like just keeping my promises to myself, especially when it comes to the gym stuff and when you don't want to do it. And I think prep really helped with this.
Yeah.
You know, um, I would take it one exercise at a time. So, let's say it was a leg day. I had 5 or 6 different exercises to hit. I would just be like, right now, your only job is to get these goblet squats done.
Hmm.
And then I get the goblet squats done and be like, okay, that's one down. Right now, your only job is to get through these leg presses. Okay, leg presses. Then before you know it, you're halfway through, you know? And so it's
Yeah.
these little like hacks, I guess, to really help you make promises to yourself. And I kind of want to vibe on that for a little bit. Prep has taught me the importance of that, keeping the promises that you make to yourself. Cause like, I don't know about you, but it's like if we break promises to ourselves, then we're breaking promises to everybody. Like if the promise you made to yourself isn't kept, then you're literally telling yourself that you can't be counted on,
Yeah.
you know?
And what does
Yeah,
that do to your confidence over
exactly.
time? Add that up over the course of one day where you say, well, I'm going to do
Hmm.
this. I'm going to get my steps. I'm going to drink my water, or I'm going to put my laundry away. And you keep not
Hmm.
doing it and it keeps
Hmm.
spilling over. What does that do
Hmm.
when you keep telling yourself you're going to do things, but you actually just don't? What does that do to your
Hmm.
confidence?
Hmm. What's it do to your confidence, your feelings of self-worth? This increases self-sabotage. The
Yes.
more that you break your promises to yourself, the easier it's going to be to self-sabotage. And I think a lot of what I get, and you help people on fitness journeys. I do too. And I don't know what the number one thing you get is, but the number one thing that I get is I want to do that, but I don't have time, or I want to be that, but I'm too lazy, or you're motivating me, but I can't get off the couch. Like I get a lot of this looks exactly what I desire, but I can't have that. I'm not worthy of that, is essentially what's being said.
Mm,
Yeah,
yeah,
because it's
that's
like,
deep.
you know, but it's like you're totally worthy of it. Because honestly, friends, and if somebody's listening and they're like, oh, I commented that, I don't mean to call you out, but I wouldn't be doing my job if I wasn't calling you out.
Right.
Anything that you've seen some of your favorite creators do, you are more than capable of doing it. We all have a backstory. We all have trauma. We all have daddy issues.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like we can't blame our self-sabotage on decisions and indecisions that were made that have nothing to do with us. You know,
Yeah.
we have to really see what's actually going on. And we have to also like peel back the layer. Like, what are you actually saying when you are commenting on somebody's success and how you're happy about their success? But you can't do that. You're essentially saying you're not worthy of success.
Yes. Yes.
Who told you that? You
Right.
know,
And you're telling yourself through your actions every single day.
exactly
And that's
that
the
part.
thing. You see it time after time again. Somebody wants this. I want to feel healthy. I want my favorite jeans
Hmm.
to fit the way they used to. Like I just want to
Hmm.
be confident. I want to maybe I'm going on vacation and this is my goal. But then when
Hmm.
it comes down to it, and it's like, okay, well, it's really as simple as the basics. Yes,
The
it's a numbers
basics.
game, but are you able to give yourself time to do the basics every day?
That's
And then you very quickly see, like with different people all the time, some people
it.
do, and
Hmm.
some people are like, they, like you said, they start self-sabotaging, they start creating
Right.
these reasons. And what I see with that is it keeps it keeps whatever their comfort level is, regardless of comfort being good or bad for you, it keeps that safe. So people start to create these belief structures of like,
Hmm.
I deserve the break this morning. I've been busting
Yeah.
my butt. Or, like
Yeah.
everyone does it. And I'm not saying this from a
Hmm.
place of me being perfect because I'm not. And I do this
Hell
as
no.
well.
We got work to do. I need this
Yeah,
to
we
say
all have
too.
work to do. There's
Hmm.
not one perfect human on this planet. But
Hmm.
yeah, that's where the belief structure comes in. And you start creating these things that keep this bad habit in this lifestyle that you so badly desire to get out of. The
Yeah.
exact same.
Yeah. The exact same. And that's the thing. When we are down enough, when we want something enough, we will do what needs to be done. It's kind of like that thing that, your mom always told you. I feel like everybody's mom, as somebody who female or female representing, has told them this. If a guy really wants your attention, they will show you. They will tell you. You're not going to need to beg. I remember getting that lesson and I remember like hearing it with my girlfriends. My mom told me that too.
Yeah.
I've recognized that really kind of applies to yourself as well in this thing called life that we're doing. If you want it bad enough, you're going to figure out a way to do it.
Hmm.
The I can'ts are just simply not going to exist. And honestly, friends, the I can'ts shouldn't exist because you can. Where there's a
Mm-hmm.
will, there's a way, And
Mm-hmm.
this might sound corny, but health is wealth. And I say that in a number of different lanes. First of all, Kelly and I haven't gotten here yet. And if you guys want us to talk about this, let us know down in the comments if you're watching on YouTube or even if you're on Spotify. Bodybuilding isn't always the healthiest. And if you guys are interested in bodybuilding, listen to the literature. People will tell you it is an extreme sport. Now, are there health benefits to bodybuilding? In my opinion, fuck yes. I have
Absolutely.
never learned food more than I
Mm-hmm.
have until I entered the bodybuilding sphere. I thought I understood food and my body and macros and like all of that. I understand food to a totally different level now, which I'm very happy about because we all should understand food. That
Yes.
needs Food needs to be taught in elementary schools and not the
Yeah.
fucking food groups, but like literally like what this is doing to your body when it comes in, when it comes out. I think it would really decrease the amount of binge eating disorders
Yep.
and anorexia, bulimia, all sorts of eating disorders that happen to so many individuals in that hard teen tween area, and I've just found that like no matter what generation you're in, that just seems to be the time where if you're going to have issues or problems with food, it tends to start around then.
Yeah. And I think too, talking about more of like a controversial subject
Mhm.
on bodybuilding, I think for some people, bodybuilding is a out, but also not getting out of disorders around food. It's like a
Mhm.
controlled way to
Getting
do it.
spicy.
Yeah.
Yes, it
And
is. Yes,
but
it
I mean,
is.
I think too, and it, like I said, this isn't coming from a place of judgment. Like everyone has their things they're going through, but I think with
Hmm.
anything that you do in life, you have to outsmart yourself. And if you're
Hmm.
doing that for that reason, because like you said, there are so many health benefits to bodybuilding.
There are,
But
there
there
are.
are also
I'll
a
die
lot
on
of
that hill.
people who don't keep that in the forefront. They just
Mhm.
keep winning in the forefront and what
The
at
aesthetics
whatever
of it.
cost.
Mhm.
Yeah, and that at whatever cost mentality allows you to sometimes make deals with the devil, and that can
Hell
come back
yeah.
to bite you. But
She's talking about lots of things, friends. But yes, if you think we're talking about steroids, that'll come up. Neither one of us are on steroids, just so that you guys know now.
yeah,
If
we're
if we
natural.
decide to take steroids, we'll let you know.
Yes, transparency is key always.
Right, right. Speaking of which, what do you think about peptides? So, I'm on Smorelin, which is not considered a steroid. It's a peptide, obviously. I was talking about this in a few YouTube videos ago. But speaking of natural, a lot of the natural federations don't want you even on peptides, which is why yeah, at least what I've come across, which is why I'm having a hard time finding a show this year that I
Interesting.
want to do because OCB is right in my neighborhood. They're doing a bunch of shows in upstate New York, but they're like, you can't even be on peptides. And we like make peptides. Okay. If you guys
Yeah.
are like, Ashley, what the fuck are you talking about? Watch the Get Ready With Me video. I give you all the tea there. It's all written and organized, or look it up yourself, but it's not a steroid. Do you know much about Smorlin or any of that stuff or
Well, actually,
peptide therapy?
yeah, like a handful of years ago, I tried that. Is it Imperellum? I can't remember the name of it. It might
Mhm.
be. It was to help with recovery, I believe. So
Yeah, that's
I'm
what Smorlin
probably,
does.
yeah, I'm probably butchering it, but I tried it for a handful of months and I liked it. I would
Mhm.
consider doing it again, except like just you know I've heard controversial things if at this stage me and my husband like we are not trying to have a family, so I just don't I want to walk the line of being as healthy as possible when it comes to that. But to your
Mhm.
point, like I've just heard him being like a biohack, like it's something that
Yeah,
is going to help the natural things that you're producing in your body. And
right.
I
Mhm.
mean, I have no problems with it. I have no qualms against it. I know
That's
I have
what,
some
yeah.
clients that are on them as well that
Mm.
seem to love them.
Seriously. So, any bodybuilding shows out there that are listening, get fucking peptides off the non-natural list because they don't belong there.
Yeah, that seems strange to me.
I mean, I have to double check, but like, all I know is like, I'm not a lazy bitch in most areas of my life, but when it comes to reading a bunch of shit, I'm a lazy bitch. Like, when you're like, read all of this before you press accept, We going straight to accept, honey. We'll figure it out.
That's because we come from the era of Spark Notes, girlfriend.
Yes. Like, give me the spark notes. This, like, you want me to read all of this? It's so bad. I'll even do that with contracts. And I'm like, you got to stop, girl. You should be reading your contracts.
Yeah.
Fuck
Long,
it.
hard swipe. It's definitely no two of these to get to the bottom.
So bad. So, like, any of the natural shows, when they have those lists of what's considered natural, I'm just like, what is this? I'm not reading all this. I'm not reading all this. So I have to like check deeper. But I've also heard, I have not fact checked this, but I've heard even Adderall like is on the non-naturalist, even if you're prescribed it for ADD, ADHD. If you
Wow.
take Adderall, you can't be in a natural show.
That's wild. I
If it's a
I'm
stimulant.
actually one of those kids who was prescribed that. I went through the whole thing of like Ritalin to
Oh God,
um
you must have been popular, girl.
back then though it wasn't. Back then though I was in first grade when they first started.
Oh
Um
God, no, see, my brother was like that. The
yeah.
Ritalin, I think
Mhm.
Ativan, is that one of
Hurt
them
your
too?
No, Ativan's an anxiety thing. There
Oh,
was like Focalin. I've tried literally Concerta,
Concerta, that's what it was.
yeah,
And yeah, he
Vyvanse.
would be Vyvanse, he would be down because his stomach would hurt. Poor
Yes.
thing.
I
Shout
hated
out to
it, and
baby
it made me
brother.
feel like an outcast at a young age. Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, you got to go take
Mm-hmm.
your medicine, and it just wasn't a good feeling. And then as I got older, I realized like, okay, you take this for a reason. You do need it. But I remember it was in my first professional job. I was like, screw this, Callie. Like, you can dial in your nutrition, you can dial in your exercise. There's natural ways that aren't going to be like obviously going to do leaps and bounds of difference, but it's going to help,
Mm-hmm.
and it actually
Mm-hmm.
helped. And I haven't touched it since my early 20s.
Oh my goodness. So interesting. So you're not on anything right now.
Mm-mm.
You
No.
know, and guys, so Kelly and I are very, very close in age. We're like months apart, right? You're
Mm.
89, aren't you?
Yep.
Me too. Yeah. And so very similar era, like the same era we grew up in. And one thing I noticed was how many of us were misdiagnosed. Like you were probably just a hyper fucking kid. So one story, I've never told you this, and podcast, I don't think I've ever told you guys this either. So I actually in my early teens was diagnosed bipolar. So I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. Um, and this was right around the same time my brother had already been diagnosed for ADD, ADHD. And my mom was like, she saw how much he struggled. And she's like, we're going to get him off these meds. This is not working. She
Yeah.
eventually ended up doing the same thing with me because they had me on all these different meds. I ended up having a horrible breakout, head to toe, broke out in hives. They couldn't
Mm.
figure out what was wrong with me. And mind you, I don't get allergies. I still don't have allergies. Don't get them ever, knock on wood. Head to toe, broke out, sick as a dog, could not eat. The last thing they took were the meds. They took the meds. I cleared up. My mom was like, fuck this. We're getting you off of this, right?
Good
Fast
for her.
forward to about 6 years ago, when I was prepping for my gastric sleeve surgery, you have to get a psych eval. And the lady was like, so you were diagnosed this when? And I was like, I don't know, circa like 2005, 2007, like earlier than that, 2004. Did
Mm-hmm.
my psych eval. She's like, you passed the flying colors. And she's like, I'm going to be real with you. During that time period, it was not uncommon for many doctors, specifically male doctors, her words, not mine, would misdiagnose young women. There were multiple, like this was a thing where there were
Wow.
so many of us being misdiagnosed bipolar because we're fucking moody and we're getting our periods.
Yeah, the whole phases of your cycle. Like, there's different things that
Mhm.
happen.
And honestly,
Which
though, now
another
that,
thing we're not taught or taught about at a young age. Like,
right,
why don't we know more about our body?
why don't we know more about our bodies and our minds and our health? And that is, I think, talking about this out loud, because I think this is interesting. I think that what we're talking about has something to do with why we're so passionate and driven about health and wellness in the wellness area. Because it's like we grew up in an era where it was so common for them to give you a pill for
Treat
just
everything.
how you're everything, when a lot of it is just moving your body, getting vitamin D, making sure you have your water, checking in with your emotional mental health. Oh, I feel, first of all, I haven't been on anything for that since I broke out in hives. So, and that's what the doctor said. She goes, so you were diagnosed with bipolar. I can't remember if it was bipolar 1 and 2. It was so long ago. And she's like, you haven't been on medications for like 15 years. And I'm like, no. She's like, well, that doesn't make sense. I'm like, I'm just telling you what they said back in fucking circa 2003. And
Yeah.
that's when she was telling me that like 2000 to 2010 was an area of time where they were just diagnosing children and young adults left and right with all of these issues and giving us pills that we didn't need. And this is why people have an issue with big pharma. Big pharma is always like, why you guys stay coming for us? We're just trying to make people feel better. This is exactly why though. Are you making people feel better?
No, but they got a pill for that.
They got a pill for that. They got a pill for that.
I went on a huge rant the other day on my stories about that, and it's just, and when I do, like, I don't want to come across as like anti medical industry because
And that's clear. I'm glad you said that. Disclaimer, guys. You guys talk to your doctors. We are not doctors. We're only talking about our stories and what happened with us. So
yeah.
don't stop taking your meds because you heard some shit on this podcast. Okay.
There's some cases where you just like, I understand and you need it and that's
Yeah,
fine, but
exactly.
I just get triggered because I feel like there are not enough times that doctors or the medical industry or someone isn't asking what are they doing with their nutrition, what are they doing with
Mm-hmm.
their water, what are they doing with their physical
Mm-hmm.
activity, like the core
Mm-hmm.
basic principles of living a healthy feel good
Are they
life.
getting outside
What
even?
are you doing? Yeah, instead of like, nope, I understand this is the problem, we have something that treats that
Mm-hmm.
and this is the answer, and that's going to give you another problem, and then guess what, we have another
Yep.
pill to give you for that as well. And that's it's big pharma, and it's, I just wish we could dial back to like just the core basic principles, and from there treating as necessary. We've ticked every box, we've tried all the things,
Mm-hmm.
we've improved the diet,
Mm-hmm.
it's not helping. How do we now take the next steps to give this person like a quality life?
Exactly, exactly. And I think that's the point, right? You all have been listening for so long. I think the overarching theme of the Spiritually Fit podcast, the Goddess Complex, is stepping into a better quality of life.
Yeah.
How can we do better? And sometimes I'm like, oh my God, saying that we're doing better, like we're not doing good enough, like, are we doing too much? What I mean when I say that is there's always gas in the tank. There's always room for more. There's always room for more expansion. And in the thousands of people that I've worked with, one of the major themes is this idea that they can only have this much, that they can't dream big, and they aren't worthy of hitting $1 million in revenue, of stepping on stage for a bodybuilding contest, of finally losing the weight, of
Yeah.
eating a healthy, well-balanced diet, even, since in the lane of big pharma, like healthy food, organic food is only reserved for people within certain tax brackets. I mean, we could go on and on and on.
Yeah.
And not to say that the reasoning isn't there. Like, I mean, we could, that's a whole different podcast talking about food availability.
Yeah.
But, to also say that where there's a will, there's a way. I think the biggest misconception that I got stepping into this bodybuilding world is how affordable bodybuilding eating can be. It's way more affordable than you think. You
Mhm.
have a carb, a fat, and a protein. That's it.
Once you cut out all that Starbucks and all the fast food and all the restaurants, like you actually save a lot of money.
You save money. You save money. Like, to give you guys an idea of what we're talking about, like a typical bodybuilding meal would be like a half cup of white rice, maybe 4 to 6 ounces of chicken breast, and then maybe, a handful of Brussels sprouts, asparagus, mixed vegetables. You might
Oats.
splurge and get the avocado oil spray, which is a big oil. Yeah.
Yeah. Frank's hot sauce eventually, and when you can't have anything.
Exactly. And like, that's a dinner.
Yeah.
We eat a lot of oats in the morning and eggs. Like,
Mm.
oats is one of the cheapest foods you could get. And I love oats as well. I love
Sprinkle some
oats.
protein powder in
Oh
there,
my
any
God.
flavor, zhuzh it
So
up.
good.
So
Get a
good.
low carb wrap, add some tuna to that. You're
Ooh.
good. There's your lunch. I think that
And
is a huge myth that like eating healthy is expensive. That's not real.
Mm-hmm.
It's not
No,
real.
in my opinion, I haven't found that. I found
No.
that like when you actually prioritize that your nutrition, all the
Mhm.
excess stuff that you used to spend money on starts to
Goes out the
fizzle
way.
away.
Yeah.
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 And you actually have more money. But once again, self sabotage, the narratives we
Hmm.
create, what keeps our
Yeah.
comfort safe because we like McDonald's or whatever it may
And the
be. Like,
ones that have been created for us, tin foil hat. We like to get a little tin foil hat on this podcast.
yeah. Okay. I'm here for it. Let's do it. I got some tinfoil in the kitchen.
Oh my God. Well, because it's like going back to that, like, who said eating healthy was expensive? Like, where did that narrative even come from? Because it's very much so not true. And it's like, where, when, who said it? And why is that still a thing? You know, I don't know. It's just fucking weird. It's weird.
What anymore? Even if you did go through a fast food drive through there, I'm sorry, the prices are going way up on that. Like if you
Dude,
got
it's
something,
like
you're paying
20
like 20 bucks
bucks.
for a combo. So that 20 bucks
Like,
can get you a lot farther in the grocery store.
it's insane. I think we went to McDonald's one day. When did we go to McDonald's? Fuck. It was a while ago, like maybe like 3 weeks, a month ago, some shit like that. And I remember like mouth dropping, being gooped. But I'm like, why is this meal? Like, did they put two on there on accident? Like, probably because I hadn't been there in a while. I just could not get over how expensive it was.
Yeah,
I couldn't get
it's
over it.
crazy.
Like, that's no bueno. Oh my goodness. But yeah, if you
And I
guys
think
want us to do like a nutrition episode of just like the things we like to eat, I could talk about that all day. Cause
me
your
too.
girl still loves food, man. Like she didn't get 320 pounds for no reason. I like food.
I love that. I love food too, girl.
Yeah.
Maybe we just have an episode where we eat our favorite food
We
together.
just eat our
We're gonna have
foods.
lunch together and chat.
Exactly. And just talk about it. Cause I feel the best about food. I feel better than I've ever felt about my relationship with food and all of that. I think a lot of folks can relate, you too, Kelly, in this like kind of like the upside down with food, especially like being a woman in America is not fucking easy. It's not easy. And our relationship with food, like we are born into a situationship with food from
Yep.
the beginning, you
Yep.
know. And they kind of leave you to fend for yourself with it because nobody talks about it. Nobody
Mm-mm.
prepares you about navigating your relationship as a woman with food and comparison syndrome with other women and all of that. There's nothing to help you with that. So I have noticed either way you develop an eating disorder, it's like, do you just eat too much or like not enough?
Where
And
on the spectrum do you fall?
yeah, exactly. Bold statement, friends, but like come at me if I'm wrong. Like I have yet to meet a woman who has not developed some sort of unhealthy habit around food sometime in their life. I haven't met her.
Yeah, and to like okay, to think about it, like we're conditioned to think like scarcity with food is the right route. So many of the women that I
Hmm.
train, when I onboard them, I have them just like log all their food for a week so I can understand where they're at metabolically.
Hmm.
And regardless of size, it's like, oh, you're only eating this many calories a day? I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Your body
Yeah.
needs more than that just to function
Hmm.
properly. Like,
Right.
and I mean, even for me, like when I was in college, I remember I'd wake up, I wouldn't eat breakfast.
Yeah. Same.
I'd have a yogurt, I think I would
Hmm.
have, and then maybe a cheese stick
Hmm.
all day. And then at the end of the day, I'd be like, okay, what can I eat for dinner? And I didn't even put any more thought to it. And I wasn't
No.
hungry because my body was so used to not eating and my
Yep.
metabolism was crashed. And it's like,
Same.
and you think like, oh, well, all I need to do is just starve myself and do endless amounts
Hmm.
of cardio.
Hmm.
No, you're crashing your metabolism, like you're
Hmm.
destroying your body. Don't do that.
Oh my goodness. I'm eating more now than I ever have, which is great. But I also did the same thing. I often reflect on how I got to be 320 pounds. Like, how did that weight come on? So I do watch My 600 Pound Life. I've like that show would motivate the fuck out of me during prep. I'm not even gonna lie, friends. Like, I did not want to go to that gym. I put that show on, and be like, girl, you better get those hand weights. Like, no,
Not today, Satan.
not today, Satan. And literally, I would, well, and obviously it's TV, and you guys know how TV works. You've heard me mention little nuggets and gems here and there on the podcast, TV magic. But my point is that I would notice how they would eat and how they would order, and that was never me, ever. I went to a very active college. Like we would be hiking outside, like all of these things. I'm like, how did the weight come on? Just like you said, I would wake up in the morning, starve myself all day, especially being in the food service industry, serving and bartending for 10 years. I drink a lot of vodka. After we're done with our shift, we would go out and we tip the bartender.
Yep.
And then I would eat some starchy, really intense meal, like a chicken parm at 2 in the morning.
On
And
an
then I
already
would
crashed metabolism.
exactly and do that on repeat for years. And you're going to see that scale go up. You're going to see that
Mm-hmm.
scale go up.
Yeah.
It's insane. And that's why we need more education on how the body actually works, because it's simply not there. Like I learned the most about my body and food and nutrition and diet and how it all works through the bodybuilding arena,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is a testament because your girl just finished her personal training exam. And I'm still telling you, I learned more in the bodybuilding arena.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
telling you something.
That is. And also, too, another thing that really bothers me that I see on social a lot lately is people being like, you can't lose weight unless you're in a deficit.
Yeah, I
While
see that a lot too.
true, like what people don't then talk about is yes, but where are you at metabolically now? If you are
Right.
already under eating and not eating enough and your basal
Hmm.
metabolic rate is in the trash, and then you
Hmm.
think, oh, I have to be in a deficit, and you don't even know where you're currently at, you could be under what even should be a
Right.
deficit. And then you
Hmm.
continue to drive yourself into a deeper deficit. Guess what? You're not going to see any results.
No, you're not.
So you need to heal
Hmm.
and get that metabolism healthy and juicy again. And a lot of times with my
Hmm.
clients, especially my weight loss clients, like when I start to give them more calories, all of a sudden their body is taking a deep breath and they're shedding weight, inflammation. It's
All
just
of a
all starting to come
sudden.
off. Yes.
Exactly. Exactly. That's funny that you say that. So, well, I just giggled just now because I thought you were going to say my white clients. I was gonna be like, oh, Kelly, we don't do that here.
I'm sorry, that was I just said that wrong. My weight loss, not my weight. In my
I knew it was a slip of the tongue, but I just like thought of that joke. I thought
To
it was
be
funny.
clear, my weight loss clients, I have all types of life as my
On the
clients.
Goddess Complex podcast, now the Spiritually Fit podcast, we do not discriminate.
I'm so glad you brought that up because
It's
that little
funny.
voice in the back of my head that we spoke about earlier was like,
Yeah.
Callie, that did not sound right.
Right. I had to bring it up. I thought it was funny. But
Yeah.
also too, speaking of that and what you're talking about with the deficit and what we're seeing on social media, I'd love to pick your brain on this. The petty bitch in me, and we all know she exists, wants to just trash the fitness community. Okay, not to be direct, but to kind of be direct. But then also at the same time, I want to give it love. I want to give Gym Talk love because Gym Talk really helped me when I was like in the heart of my weight loss journey. We're talking 4 years ago when I was like going to the gym every single day, like drinking my water, tracking my weights, all of this. Gym Talk was a lifesaver and still is. But I think what is starting to bother me now is there is so much noise on social media of like what to do, how to lose weight, join this program, don't join this program. This influencer says one thing, that influencer says another thing. It's like, what is real? Butt pads. Are there butt pads in the girl's booty or not? And then what was the most recent thing we were just talking about? The most recent gym influencer, fake titties or something like that?
But, everyone getting exposed for having BBLs.
BBLs. That's what it was. They have the BBLs, and it's just like nowadays with the rise of social media and friends, you know what I'm going to say? Thank you, Age of Aquarius. We're only going to continue to see more and more with tech. That's where we're going as a society. Technology, online learning, visual. I get that. I'm here for it. But it's like, especially as somebody who might be newer on their fitness journey or even newer in the bodybuilding space, how do you drown out the noise? Like what's
Yeah,
real,
because
what's
there's
not?
so much noise. Like,
Yeah.
and it's That's also something that aggravates me. And listen, I understand doing activity and workouts and whatever for the sake of doing it is also great. It's also, I'm not downing people who are
Mhm.
selling bite-sized programs, but what bothers me is when people sell programs that are like, this is going to change your life. This is the one nugget
Yeah,
that you didn't have. It's the one
yeah,
supplement you've never used. And this is going to be
yeah.
everything that changes the whole journey.
Like
That makes me
AG1, no
upset.
shade to AG1. If you want to sponsor, I'm here for it. But I just keep seeing your goddamn commercials. You're supposed to be
Yes.
like the savior. So let me find out, AG1. Send me some
Let
products.
us test it for
Let us do
ourselves.
it for ourselves.
But that, it just gets on my nerves because it's like, in my opinion, it's mindset, nutrition, and then what kind of expenditure, like what kind of energy are you actually putting out. So are you, what kind of
Hmm.
workouts, what are your splits, like those
Hmm.
things matter. But it's not like a one sliver deal. Yes, you can take a sliver and be healthier for it, but when
Yeah.
it comes to optimizing your goals and your success, like people are out there fear mongering or saying this is the one thing you've never done, that all
Hmm.
of a sudden you're going to lose 100 pounds because you did this one thing. It's like, no, there's so much more to it.
Now, on the flip side of this, what about the aspiring fitness influencer who's listening right now? They've been in fitness for a long time. Maybe they've lost a bunch of weight. Maybe they've touched the stage a couple times, and they want to enter into this world of like recording their workouts, telling people what they eat in a day. Like, where do they go? Because it could be easy for them to just look at what another fitness influencer is doing, whether it's right or wrong, doesn't matter, and copy that.
Yeah, that's true. I think my thing is like everybody's different and you can't treat people like they're all the same. But
Right.
also you have to learn from your own experience. Just like when
Hmm.
you go to school and you go to college and then you get in your job and you like, when you actually really start learning is when you're immersing yourself in experience and learning
So
firsthand.
true.
So like
So
don't
true.
sleep on experience and also being authentic and
Hmm.
putting out disclaimers like this isn't one size fits all. This is what I've done and this is what's working for
Yes.
me. But don't
That's what
just
I do
talk,
all the time.
yeah, and don't just talk about the sunny side. Talk
Right.
about both sides because that's another thing I see that really bothers me in the bodybuilding world is like someone may only post their body when it was the leanest and that's all they post. And
But
it's
they
like,
also didn't tell you how they couldn't shit for a week before fucking show day. Nobody fucking told me about that. The constipation before show day until
yeah,
like it was just before show day. Fuck that shit. That shit sucked. I'm an everyday pooper.
me too.
Friends, I think, yeah, I think we've reached this point in the pod where we can be this open and it's not TMI. I enjoy
Everybody
that about
poops.
myself. Everybody poops. The week before show day or a few days before show day, you can get really backed up because of how they're fucking with
Drying you
your
out.
body. Yeah, exactly. Oh my God. Do you remember summer shredding? I finally pooped like 2 days after the show.
Yeah. I remember you were very stressed about that.
Oh my God.
I was like, no.
Oh God. But anyways, like what you were saying, the downfalls and the dark side and like sharing all of that, I think is super important because
Be authentic.
I think people need to know that. And if you guys are curious about that, let us know. We can do a whole episode on like the downside of prep,
Yes,
which
yes, for sure.
there are things like the reverse. Holy fucking cannoli. I lost my goddamn mind during the reverse.
Me too. And
Yeah.
no one preps you for the reverse. They're just like, yes, you better not mess up that reverse. And then the reverse happens and you're like, what's happening to my body? I'm freaking out right now. My hormones are
Mhm.
repairing themselves because I just went into such
Mhm.
a deficit. Like
Mhm. And my
everything freaks
mind,
out. Your
because I want to eat
mind.
everything, in sight, because you're restricted so deeply. And again, friends, this is extreme because we're doing an extreme sport. So the average lifestyle client or lifestyle person would not be depleting on this level.
No.
But we are for a purpose, and that's to touch stage. And that is only for a very short period of time where we are at that level. It's
Yeah.
nothing long term and it's not sustainable, which is important to know,
Not
you know.
sustainable at all. And another thing my coach told me when I was going through my reverses, she was like, "Listen, your leptin and your ghrelin hormones are completely freaking out right now. So you
Mhm.
could actually eat 20,000 calories and still think you're hungry.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you that's when your mindset you have to turn on and be okay with like following a reverse plan
Mhm.
to getting to a healthy place again.
Mhm.
And then another thing I want to say too, as a piece of advice, is don't go out there photoshopping your stuff. You know,
Oh my
like
God.
be really you, be proud of your body. Your body can do so much for yourself, and like it serves you in so many ways. Like just be you. And that's one thing that frustrates me so bad, because you mentioning the butt pads, like I've actually been accused of butt pads in several of
Ooh,
my
that's
posts.
a good compliment though.
It is, but at the same time, it's
She
like
said that shit's so juicy. She wearing butt pads.
so let me get my
Yes.
shorts real quick. You look at
I
them
know,
inside.
right?
But and yeah, I'm here for the booty, but at the same time, it shows you there's a level of distrust in the community because
There
of what
is.
some people are doing. And
And
it
guys, not just in the fitness community, but in the spiritual community too, that I'm going to be talking about a lot soon. There's a level of mistrust happening online. I have noticed in all like the niches I'm in general, which I get it. I get it. With so much happening in the collective, it's hard to know who to trust, which is why I brought this up.
mhm, absolutely. Yeah, I
So
couldn't agree
stop photoshopping your shit. Just be authentic. People want to see who you are and they fall in love with who you are. So if you're an aspiring online entrepreneur, fitness enthusiast, influencer, spiritual influencer, any of that stuff, because I know my listeners, they're across a wide range of individuals. I'm telling you right now, the more authentic you are, the more sales come in because people are able to see themselves in you.
yeah.
And so, sometimes I definitely am like, should I have more makeup on? Should I be more polished? Should I not post that? Do I curse too much? We're humans, we're spiritual beings having a human existence. So it's not weird to think these things, especially if you create content. If you're a content creator, it's kind of a part of you're a content creator, Callie, it's like a part of it. But I think the bigger question is when I created this piece of content, is the message still authentic to my soul?
Yeah. Yeah, that's so true. And also too, we're not trying to
Hit
be a
that shit.
part
Do
of the
it.
problem. We're trying to be
Right.
part of like helping people live their best
Mm-hmm.
lives. And
Mm-hmm.
if we're driving in, if we're only posting edited pictures, or we're like
Mm-hmm.
literally distorting our bodies to make them look a certain way like all the time, what
Yeah.
does that do to your community and your audience? What are you driving back home into their heads?
Right.
Like we're trying to do the opposite of what,
Exactly.
we're trying to let people know like, hey, your
Right.
body serves you. It's beautiful the way it is, no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
It's always on a journey and it's going to look like this naturally. Like, it's okay. This angle looks this way and this angle looks another.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't
It's
go
so
out of the way
true.
to make the problem even worse.
Right. And, a message again to anybody looking to step into this world. We all get insecure. I have stretch marks. I have loose skin, and I get insecure about that stuff. And then
Same.
I remind myself that there's somebody watching my content that many people actually, I see you guys, I see all the comments. I try my best to respond to as many as I can that have gone through or are going through what I'm going through, and representation matters. So not everybody wearing that label or that brand is going to look like it in that one person's body type. We want to see what the stretch marks look like. We want to see what the extra skin looks like. We want to see what this looks like so that we have realistic expectations of somebody's body,
Yes.
and not for nothing, but I'm not fucking 22. So like, what does this feel like on somebody who's in her mid 30s? We're
Yeah.
in our mid
Yeah.
30s, girl. That's okay. It looks great on us. It looks great on us.
Whatever. I think 30s are the new 20s, anyways.
I feel great about my 30s, but 35 has me in my feelings a little bit. Like 30 to 35, I was like, bet, let's do this. Now I'm like, wait a second, we're gonna be 36 this year. Like, no, thank you.
Yeah. It's when you cross over the middle threshold of
Mm-hmm.
the decade.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that
You're
happened to
like,
me. Like, but then
oh,
I see women in their 40s, and I'm like, huh? Like, you're 40? I would have guessed you're like 30 something, So that makes me feel good.
yeah.
But I don't know, again, another episode that we can talk about. I have been loving my 30s. I'm thriving in my 30s. But, the idea that 40 is 5 years from now is a little intense for me to consider. I
Yeah.
just, but I'm not done yet.
Girl, you're not done. You're nowhere near done. We're not done.
It's like,
We're just
sir, can I
starting.
have some more? Like I'm still building life. You
Yeah.
know, I have this idea that when you're in your 40s, I know this is a crazy idea to have, so don't come for me in the comments, friends, but come for me if you must. But like, I just have this idea that when you're in your 40s, like it's time to retire. That's when you go to like yacht events with your 40-year-old friends. Like, that's when you go to like Florida for the winter.
Oh my gosh. I'm trying to do yacht parties and go to Florida with my friends. I'm here for it. But let
Is
me
it just
join. Where do
because
I
we're in our
sign?
mid-30s though? Is that why?
I don't know. I feel like each decade I learned something more about myself. I feel like
Yeah.
20s was like this hunger because I had to prove something. In my
Yeah.
30s, I
Yeah.
realized I don't need to prove anything to anyone. I just need to prove
Hmm.
it to myself and be like
Yeah.
happy with myself and my confidence. And that's gone up. And then I feel like 40s are going to be like the I don't give a fuck era.
I don't give a fuck.
Like literally zero fucks. Like this is me
Exactly.
and you like it or hate it. And I feel like 30s is like building you up for that. You know what I mean?
Exactly. I am so ready to be a thought with my ass out. Like Manuel is gonna have a fucking conniption this summer because, dude, so like tell me why. Okay, I'm gonna tell you the story and then we'll let you guys go. So you know how like the TikTok girls love to put their shirts in the back sports bra so that their booty's out?
Yes.
I love doing that.
I love that
So,
too.
okay, good, good, good. So yesterday we're getting ready to go to the gym. Why does Manuel come up from behind me and start pulling down my shirt? I'm like, what the hell are you doing? He goes, I'm fixing your shirt for you. And I was like, I want it like this. And mind you, at the time, I was on FaceTime with my sister. Yes, baby sister Gen Zer came for me. So I'm like telling her, I was like, Manuel's trying to dress me. I can't believe that. Like, why is he trying to dress me? Blah, blah, blah. She goes, girl, why are you acting like you're 19 years old doing what the 19-year-olds do? But we saw her and I was like, you know what? You know what? In Mars right now, I was going through my first house. So I was all up in my feels. I just like untucked my shirt. It was like, whatever, I lost today. But
Dude, Martin did the same thing with me. I That's hilarious that you say that. I'm like, baby, no, this is
it's the
intentional.
look. It's the
This
look.
is the vibe.
Right.
Tuck it back because it was hard to get it up there.
Oh my God, I love he pulled out your shirt too.
Yes. Granted, he's already in his 40s, so I'm like,
Yeah. And Manuel's very close to his 40s. He's 38.
maybe it's just a generation.
Maybe it is. Because I was like, you think you're helping me, but you're kind of messing up my flow. I
Yeah.
already don't want to go. But now you're just
Mhm.
messing with me intentionally.
Oh, the only thing, okay, so I'm gonna ask though, with the tuck
Mhm.
from behind, does it ever
Mhm.
bother you in the front? You're like, why isn't it laying like I want it to lay in the front? I've tucked it in the back. So in
Yeah.
the front, why is it bunching this way? Like, is my shirt not
Oh
big
my God,
enough?
sometimes it will. If the pump cover is not big enough, it will do that. So I've had really good luck with the dark sport pump covers. I think
Hmm.
I get an XL or an L in those pump covers, one of the two. Either way, their material is pretty heavy.
Yeah,
So their shirts never like bunch
they hang
ever.
perfect.
Yeah, they're like perfect. So shout out to Dark Sport. Love you guys. But some other ones, like thinner material, I have had issues with the bunching, and I'm like,
Yeah, so then I start to tuck more towards the side back. I'm
mm-hmm.
like, ooh, okay, that's kind of cute. You get a little
Yeah, yeah,
back
yeah.
panel vibe.
Yeah, I love that you do that too. See, Gen Zers, you don't know everything. Because my sister definitely was trying to tell me that only the 19-year-olds do that. And then here I am like, is this something I don't know? Like maybe only the 19-year-olds do it.
Yeah,
Like,
because you're already second guessing yourself. Like, is this the fit? Is this the fit? I'm feeling good at
seriously.
it, but I'm walking through the gym doors now. Is this right?
Let us know down in the comments below. Do you tuck in the shirt in the back or nah? Let us know. We need to know.
I feel like if
Um,
you don't tuck it in, then it creates this weird tent where your butt is.
yes, it does. And it kind of makes you look boxy, like
Right.
SpongeBob.
Yeah, we're not,
Like
nothing
we've
gets
worked for
SpongeBob,
those
but we're not trying to
curves.
be SpongeBob. We don't work this
Man,
hard for SpongeBob.
SpongeBob. Oh my God. We were old when SpongeBob came out. Remember my little brother was
Yeah.
obsessed with SpongeBob. And Cece, yeah, calling you out Cece, she was obsessed with Dora the Explorer. She thought she was Dora. So she went through a
Oh,
phase where we had to call her Dora for way too long.
I love that. Cece's the
Ridiculous.
sweetest.
She is. She'll old gem when she wants to be. She can be spicy though. Don't get it twisted. She's a Taurus. They can be
Ah,
spicy. Mhm.
yeah, my mom's a
But
Taurus.
Oh, so you already know. So is my mom.
Mhm.
See,
Mm.
both raised by Taurus women. Babe, we could
That's
talk
supposed
for
we were
days.
supposed to
That's
meet.
funny. We were supposed to meet. Speaking of which, Kelly, tell the people how they can meet you. How can they get more of your content? How can they work with you if they're interested? All the things, all the things.
Yeah, so I am on Instagram and it's Vega, so VEGA underscore LFT. So it's like lift but no I. And I'm on Instagram there. Also, my website is uh, thrivefitness.co, and it's going to be /program. Make sure you do the /program. And
We'll
then
have the
also,
links down below too.
okay, cool. And then I'm going to be rolling out a YouTube channel as well. I'm also on TikTok, but not like fully yet. I'm dipping my toe
Mhm.
in there. So
And then
that's
what
where
do
you can
you
find me.
do?
So I have my own digital platform, my own app to where I help people with their nutrition, their mindset, and also with their physical fitness through different gym workouts or at home workouts. I make all these custom plans. I pretty much tell my customers that I do the thinking, they just do. Like I remove the thought, I give you the
Execute.
strategy, you just do. So I have my own app to where I bring you on board. It's simple. It's just a digital platform where you pull up your phone and you see today this is what I have to do. These are the macros I have to hit, and this is any meditation or mental space that we're working on for the day.
Fuck yeah. Love it. So, friends, this is our first episode with Callie. Don't we love her? I'm so
Oh,
excited. This is such a rich conversation, and this is exactly why I knew this would be perfect for the Spiritually Fit podcast because we touched on so many things. If you all want us to elaborate on anything you heard today, please let us know in the comments or send us an email at the spiritually fit podcast at gmail.com. I love recommendations. I love to know what you want to hear. We are creating this for you. So obviously we want to talk about topics that are relevant to your life. That's the goal here. And that is for my own episodes, for my episodes with Kelly and my episodes with Danny, any of that stuff. And yeah, I'm excited for where we're going 2025. At the time that this is coming out, it's March, hoping that I am not staring at a shit ton of snow by the time that this comes out, but I probably will be.
well,
Remember my piece.
yeah, it's glowing on you nicely. I can tell that it's snowing. The light is it's nice. It suits you.
Girl, we are in a snow globe for real. Hey, but that's okay. But okay, friends, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. I am on the road to 1,000 subscribers on the YouTube. If we haven't hit it, I would hope by the time this comes out, we've hit it. Either way, make sure you're subscribing. Please and thank you. It helps us so much. And leave a comment, help push out this algorithm. Yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Ciao, ciao for now.
Bye.
Bye.